So, yeah, all right. First, state your name for the record.
MEA Lucky Mr. 7.
Okay. First question. What does MEA stand for?
MEA stands for Modern Evolution Army.
Okay. What is MEA's most recent triumph?
One of the most recent triumphs, I would have to say, would be the successful campaign against Global, ASI, but I would have to go with us defeating Bungie 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's definitely an amazing triumph, actually. Okay, who is MEA's most powerful adversary, in your opinion? Who was our most powerful adversary?
I would have to rewind the clock back a couple years, 6 years. I would have to say, like, starting with GEI, then going into the FAG war. Team Stars Media, I mean, it did a huge amount of number on MEA. Seeing how MEA didn't have media capability at the time, we didn't. And then the last one, I would have to say, would probably be NBP back in Halo 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, be hard, Mark! Yeah, be hard!
Was one of MEA's chairman at the time. He ran its 3 strongest chapters. And we had a lot of falling out. It was a personal thing. Something with money was involved. We invested money into his advanced team to go represent us at that event, at that MLG event. Something happened with the transaction from him to his team, and something went wrong, and fingers were being pointed, and it triggered a war. People were accusing him of stealing the money and stuff like that. It was a lot of personal things, and then I was really close to the guy to begin with. So it's kind of like, how could you do that? You know, we're supposed to be close. You know, I'm supposed to have some faith in you as far as trusting you. So it led to a big fallout. Now at this time, there was a huge distinction between Call of Duty and Halo. See, unlike today on 360 where, you know, everybody's all mixed, back then it wasn't. I mean, there was a fine line. Either you were a Halo guy or you were a Call of Duty guy. So it was a big thing. This war was going on for about a year. And in the beginning, I would say the first 3 months, Merc was kicking MEA's ass. He took off, took some upper management with him. He had the advanced players. But at the end, we stood by our founding document, stand strong, stay strong, and we eventually prevailed.
All right. Well, yeah. Pertaining to well, that question, I'm not sure if any of them are actually in those communities or were in those communities or clans. Who, in your opinion, were the biggest tryhards that tried to charge towards MEA?
I would say without a doubt, Shadow Wolf. Shadow Wolf has always been a con. Tries to set up the stage to his advantage, and then eventually pulls the plug, and it's like, see what I can do to you. After he lures everyone in, you know, offering to do favors and stuff for people. I think there have been recent events where he's got smaller communities that come underneath his network, and then he pulls the plug when he gets mad, or when those clans have some kind of relationship with us, and he's like, see, I can hack you guys at any given moment. Bullshit. He's in total control from the get-go. He just makes it look like that. I mean, we're on to him. He's one of the MEA's biggest tryhards and that guy he's gotten nowhere. Another guy that I would have to bring up, who eventually learned his lesson, I think, would be Mumu. Mumu's a classic case of let's get our pitchforks and our torches and let's go burn down the castle. Let's go get MEA, and he lost a lot of credibility with a lot of his followers. In fact, today, when Mumu's like, I'm going to go after MEA, come support me, everyone around him is just like, are you serious? what is this, like your 50-something, 80-something attempt? And another guy that I would have to say that's a try-hard, that's a fucking try-hard would be
They hit us up
BBK
and
Legends.
consider talking.
Now, Legends, he did a different approach. He tries to bribe MEA members. Why don't you pay, or I'll pay you X amount of dollars a month, stuff like that. What they're failing to understand is that when you can pay people to do that, but once the money runs out, then they run out of momentum. It's got to be through your heart, It's something you want to do, you love to do, and that's what they still don't understand that to this day. But I would say those are the top three try-hards.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a lot of bribery, a lot of cloak and dagger stuff on their part. Okay, next question. How did you come up with the symbol for MEA, the scorpion?
In Halo 2, MEA was all about, we didn't care about sponsorships, websites, endorsement, game battles, teams. We didn't care about anything like that. We were just an aggressive community that had something to do when we signed online. And what better is than to have rivals? So we would make deals with people and say, we're going to get good with you guys. We're cool. They get close enough, and we fucking sting them. The fox and the scorpion story. The fox was walking down a river. Scorpion walked up to him. I need a ride, says the scorpion. Can't give you a ride on my back, says the fox. After X amount of time, the fox agreed. Scorpion climbs up on the fox's back. The fox jumps into the river. Halfway across the river, the scorpion stung him. As the poison filled his veins, he looked up at the scorpion and said, "Why'd you do that? Now you'll drown too." "I couldn't help it," said the scorpion. "It's in our nature." The fox and the scorpion story has a lot to do with the symbol, the MEA symbol. That it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter at any given time. People forget who we are. Some people get too comfortable and get too close, and we don't like that. We need you to understand who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, and you better be on your toes, and you better do what we tell you, or else. Pretty much, the fox and the scorpion symbol.
Very, very interesting story. Okay. How do you think MEA is progressing?
I think because of the ideas here in the MEA as far as like evolution, the E in MEA, that's what it stands for, we'll never reach our peak because we're constantly evolving, whether it be with teams, whether it be with management. You guys all know that the MEA changes its government every 3 to 6 months. So there's always going to be new minds taking us in new directions. But as of today, I would have to say without a doubt that we are doing really, really well, building chapters and expanding on different formats at a rapid rate. We're doing really, really well.
The allies. All right. Can you tell us a little bit about our allies? LHR, IGC, DU.
Okay. Starting with DU. We probably met DU 8 months to a year when MEA was born. So they've been our friends pretty much before MEA even hit its first year. They helped us fight in the GEI war, the war that lasted a year and a half. They helped us in a lot of different things. DU specializes in the cloak and dagger, the ghosting operations, hacking capabilities, things like that. But they're mainly bigger on PC. You see DU here on 360, but you don't see like a huge gathering around him. But that's the way he operates. He put the DU so when he does camera appearances, but his clan still goes the traditional way. They do not put, like how we have MEA in our name, they don't do that because of the cloak and dagger guys. They're stealth mode, So that's what they specialize in. So they contribute a lot to wars, gathering information, sending ghosts in, taking tags if we had to, stuff like that. But they're mainly bigger on PC. LHR was a descendant of, I believe, KSI years ago. And I remember Carrie, which is, I forgot her fucking current tag, but Anywho, Carrie, also known as MEA Athena, she's the one that introduced us to them. She says, an intelligence report's come across my desk. I think you should hear this. And KSI's government, their equivalent to their forefathers, broke off, 3,000 members lost, and this guy's got a huge following. I says, well, why don't you track his movement? So we did. So eventually, a month later, they felt with all the KSI propaganda, Loyalty he wanted to keep his distance from MEA. He didn't want to affiliate with MEA because MEA was the devil. MEA is gonna, barbecue and eat your kids and all kinds of crap. Eventually, he got to know us and we broke the ice. But one thing in this conversation that I had with him that really, really intrigued me was he says, we met before. Loyalty says to me, the leader to LHR. I says, how so? Well, what do you mean? He says, we met before in battle. I says, really? He says, yeah, when you guys were invading KSI the first time, when you guys were invading them, I was part of Nodis 7's staff, senior staff, and my job was to try to figure out how to stop you guys. This came from Loyalty's mouth. He says, we met before on the field. I says, that's pretty interesting. He says, yeah, but you guys aren't actually that bad. It's just all the propaganda they give out in KSI. Stay away from MEA, they're hackers and blah, blah, blah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have the abilities, but we know when to use it, And then the last one would be IGC. IGC's always been cool, mellow, and supported MEA on all our major engagements. So they're not a bad group. They're mainly focusing now on CGL, which is a pro league, which MEA is going to probably enter. I'll have my occupied territories enter. It should be ready like in the next week or so. CGL, Kingpin's always, like I said, he's always been supportive of MEA, and he's a really down-to-earth guy.
You mind if we get a website for CGL?
I think it's CGLProLeagueGaming.com or CGLProLeague.com. I'm not really sure. I haven't got all the details on it. It's still like in the beta stage, but it should be done in the next week, 2 weeks max. We'll look forward to that.
All right. Pertaining to the conflict with KSI, what do you think about the ongoing conflict with KSI? Will it ever end? Is it at a ceasefire right now? What is your opinion on that?
The recent war that took place for the last 3-4 months, Papa Bear here played a huge role in that one. Was one of the lead commanders, in the offices, barracks, taking our guys and doing what we do. I would have to honestly say that the war is officially over. I mean, we took those guys and put them on the endangered species list, and I'm not over-exaggerating. I mean, I'm not trying to put on a show here for the camera, but, I mean, MEA specializes in doing this, and we've done it for many years, and we never pushed hard and like we did this last time. But as far as KSI, we can put them on the endangered species list. They grow back, migrate, they get bigger, and we put them back in their place, cut them down and reduce them in size. But I think the honest truth is that KSI will never die. KSI has, like MEA has, a lot of lifers, and it's going to come down to that core. It's the ones that do things through the heart and the spirit. KSI has that. They have a different way of looking at things, but they will never die. It's going to come down to a small group of guys. But if you get that small, then you might as well be dead.